Do you remember that courthouse deal that I told you about last week? The one where the state of Massachusetts is basically about to make a congresswoman's husband your landlord? Well, guess what happened? We have an update. I have an update on this. And somehow, some way, it only got worse. And you know, I really had a feeling something was off here. I knew something was potentially broken. And here's where we're at as of today. We are about to spend upwards of like $2 billion on a courthouse. $2 billion of your money. $2 billion of taxpayer money on a lease. It's a 40-year lease. This is what I covered in the previous video, and it could extend up to 60 years. And by the end of the lease, we don't even own the damn building. The state does not own the building. We kind of have to hand back the keys. It's like paying for a mortgage for 40 years, and then the bank goes, "Thanks for everything, everybody. Now get out." That's basically what's going on here. And just a few days ago, this happened last week, two guys who lost their bid, they marched into the Hampden County Superior Court and they swore out a complaint under oath asking a judge to throw out the winning bid and force a do-over. This isn't some kind of frivolous lawsuit. These people aren't just nobodies. One of them is Jeb Belize. I think he owns a ton of car lots. He's a car dealership guy. And the other is a developer from Springfield named Dinesh Patel. Now look, I can't tell you what their bid was. I don't have access to their bid. I don't know what the costs were. I don't know what the numbers are, what they proposed. I have no freaking clue. If they see this video, if these guys see this video, my inbox is open. I'll go over it and compare the bids. But what I do know is this, okay? I know that the state is out here patting themselves on the back because they picked the lowest bid. They picked the perceivable cheapest bid. But the lawsuit says that the cheapest bid was never even supposed to be in the room in the first place. And here's why. One of the principals on the winning team, they run a state agency. And Massachusetts has a conflict of interest law. And the lawsuit alleges this guy never ended up filing the disclosure paperwork that the law requires. That's part one. Now, part two, you know Ayanna Pressley is the congresswoman here, but she's not necessarily like a defendant here. She's not, but she is part of the winning team because it's her husband, Conan Harris, who is the biggest beneficiary or one of the biggest beneficiaries of the lease. That's a fact. And the people that sued them are asking for every single email between that team's bid and Pressley's offices, all of her offices. You figure DC, Boston, probably her personal computer. They're asking for everything. And one of the keys here is who is doing the asking. I don't know if you know who this law firm is. It's WilmerHale. They are probably, in my opinion at least, one of the scariest law firms on planet Earth. Okay, they are. They were part of the Apple versus Samsung lawsuit. So you could take it from there. They won like over $1 billion in that case. So for these people to just, you know, they're not going to just casually drop a member of Congress into a lawsuit just to run the page count up, is what I'm trying to say here. It doesn't look good. That's the point I'm trying to make. Now, one of the main issues here is that the guy that ran, or I should say runs the state agency, actually didn't when the bids went live back in October. He got appointed to that state job in January, which was right in the middle of scoring the bids. So the lawsuit is saying that nobody ever went back and updated the paperwork to potentially flag it. And here's the thing. This is what does it. This is where it starts unraveling for me. And basically, you're trying to tell me why a deal is being graded, okay? Why this deal is being graded. And one of the guys is about to win that ends up becoming a state official while the grading process is happening. Everybody just decided to keep moving forward like nothing happened. That doesn't, like, on both sides of the spectrum is what I'm trying to say here. It doesn't make any sense. That's the point I'm trying to make. It doesn't make any sense. And the reason that it doesn't make any sense is because, again, according to the lawsuit, one of the guys suing had a former state employee on his team, And then what ended up happening was the state sent them a letter because that guy ended up going to some kind of party or something like that. And there were some DCAMM employees at that social event. He ended up talking to some of those DCAMM employees. So what they did, meaning the team that lost, the team that's suing, is they pulled that guy off the project themselves just to keep everything clean. Really, when you think about this, one team benches their own guy over some, maybe it was small talk at a party or something like that. But then the other team's guy is a sitting state agency director and a principal of that. And that's fine. It doesn't make any sense is what I'm trying to say. And I guess that's really the whole entire thing that the lawsuit is really trying to drive home. It's that the same rules were applied one way for them, right? But a totally different set of rules was applied in the other direction. And you know what this really reminds me of? This reminds me, you remember last year when I covered the Apple Green and the Global Partners deal for the MassDoc contract? And the reason that I feel this way is a couple of reasons. I would say reason number one is because of the timeline that they announced who the winning bidder was. It was right before the 4th of July. That's when they announced it. There wasn't like this huge, to my knowledge, there wasn't this huge press release. You know, legacy media really didn't cover it that much. And on top of that, the other tell to me, and I was waiting for this, by the way, the other tell to me is that legacy media also did not pick up what I said on my video. Nobody else picked up the fact that a sitting congresswoman's husband is one of the biggest beneficiaries of the lease contract of the $2 billion. Absolutely nobody has covered this yet. Nobody has covered it, which is like another tell for me. Do you see what I'm saying? So to me, and then this lawsuit happens, right? So, and nobody has really, thoroughly covered this lawsuit. So this really reminds me of the Apple Green and Global Partners thing, just based on the fact that when that started, nobody was really scrutinizing or talking about that process until, I was doing it, Mass Fiscal was doing it. I think the Herald got in on it and stuff like that. And then everybody was talking about it because it ended up being a huge thing. This could potentially be the next big thing if there is some level of something going on is what I'm trying to say. But like I said earlier, you do not hire the law firm that was part of the Apple versus Samsung lawsuit that they won, by the way, over $1 billion. Like I said, this isn't just it's not a frivolous lawsuit that they hired some Joe Schmo off the street. They're making this into some kind of case, right? They're making this into, this could really be something here. So anyway, that's it for an update on this. I'm going to keep you guys posted. And that's it for today's video. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.